Let's keep it simple here, Marshall. Is Mike Gundy the best coach in the Big 12?
I think yes. And kind of going back to the SEC Big 12 conversation, I'm not sure that the Big 12, there's a more recognizable face outside of Oklahoma and Texas in terms of the Big 12 than Mike Gundy. So I think yes. I think Lance Leipold has a chance to kind of upend that, but I would have said the same thing about Dave Aranda a couple of years ago. That he's on his way. Chris Kleiman, same kind of thing as Leipold. But I feel like so many have come. You think about Matt Campbell. He was really hot to kind of start his Iowa State career, and then it kind of cools off. And now I'm not sure anybody's really thinking Matt Campbell over Mike Gundy. So I think I'm going to go with yes.
I don't think this game it obviously can't change it, because if you lose, Mike Gundy's still at the apex of the conference. They lost to Texas and they're leaving. If he wins, then he's already number one and he stays number one. Does this make Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, then the team of the future, the team to beat moving forward in the conference? Because remember, we said a lot of that about Baylor 2 years ago. We said a lot about Kansas State and especially TCU last year. And all three of those programs, none of them represent the Big 12 like Oklahoma is doing on Saturday. Yeah,
I think that Oklahoma State would kind of be in the driver's seat in that, but I think parity's going to kind of rule the world. You kind of look at what Arizona's done over the last month or so. They've been really good. Yeah. Utah's obviously always been really good. I think Kansas State's going to stay up there and continue to contend. Kansas is going to get Jalen Daniels back. When's Kansas really going to take that next step? They're now like a contributing member to society in the Big 12. But kind of when are they going to take that next step under Leipold? So I think Oklahoma State will be in the driver's spot. And in terms of, which team is going to kind of be the team that you think of when you think of the Big 12. But I think parity is going to, rule the day whenever, it comes to it, because that's just kind of been the Big 12's MO over the last 5 years.
I know we're so far away from it, too. We used to be able to tell pretty easily where a team would be a year or two down the line, because you say, we have this many young guys. But now it's transfer portal. Who's coming in, who's going out. It's going to happen for everybody in the league. For Oklahoma State, what is that outlook? And maybe the better question is, no matter the outlook, as long as Gundy's the head coach, will there always be an Oklahoma State at the top of the conference?
I think so, because even you look at last year and the mass exodus of players that entered the portal. You had starters everywhere, and a bunch of the outside perception was this team got worse through the transfer portal. And there are certainly guys, John Paul Richardson, who I think is going by JP Richardson now at TCU. He would have done really well at Oklahoma State this year. Jabbar Muhammad's a stud corner at Washington right now. Thomas Harper, he's starting at Notre Dame. So those are definitely guys that
Dominic Richardson, excuse me.
Yeah, I think Dominic Richardson. I love Dominic Richardson, but Ollie Gordon is the dude right now. So, but I think a lot of people thought, okay, this team got worse because they're bringing in a Leon Johnson from George Fox in the Division III rank. They're bringing in a Texas State tackle. But I think a lot of Oklahoma State is guys who want to be there, and Gundy's kind of alluded that over time. And I think that just kind of, it's not for everybody. But I think that's what works for Mike Gundy. I don't know if he had a bunch of 5-star dudes, if Mike Gundy would be the same type of coach. I think he invites those, kind of blue collar, hardworking type dudes that really want to be where they're at. I think that's kind of where Mike Gundy's at his best. And that's going to frustrate the heck out of the fan base sometimes when they're not going after these big names. But, if he continues to get those type of kids in, you think of a Malcolm Rodriguez, who was basically a nobody as a high school prospect, comes in as a safety and then develops into one of the best linebackers they've had, since the turn of the century. That's the same thing is happening with Nicholas Martin, who's got 120 tackles. He's leading the Big 12 by 18 tackles.
Double digits,
yeah. And he came out of absolutely nowhere this year. Like I didn't expect him to start this year. I knew of his existence, but he really came out of nowhere. So I think Mike Gundy and his staff just know what they need to kind of fit. And I think they do that. They know who they are more than I think anybody around the country.
Lifetime contract?
It's already kind of there. It's a 4-year rolling thing. There were some people in our forum this week that were saying like, hey, Mike Gundy's done a great job this year, but I still think that the lifetime contract, the rolling contract needs to come to an end. I think Mike Gundy's going to coach at Oklahoma State as long as he wants to coach at Oklahoma State. Yeah. I think he's earned that right, honestly. But yeah, lifetime contracts, they're definitely a little dicey no matter what the place or the person.
Ask TCU. They've got the statue sitting on campus of Gary Patterson, who might just be in the Big 12 come here soon. So with all that said, Texas, Oklahoma State on Saturday in the Big 12 championship. Marshall, I know you and your team are covering it very closely. Where can folks find your work?
Yeah, you can find us at pistolsfiringblog.com. And then on Twitter, we're at Pistols Guys.
There you go. That's Marshall Scott. Marshall, thanks for joining Locked On Big 12.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For all you out there, thanks for making Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day. Come back tomorrow. Robbie Triano is going to be on the show. Break down best bets across the country and in the Big 12, as well as transfer portal news. This has been and always will be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Locked On Doce Grande.